One second. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second in the hot seat, a new series from the Royal Northern College of Music, specially for aspiring young performers. Throughout this series, we'll be meeting some of the best performers in the UK at the moment, giving you the opportunity to hear about their journeys and ask questions at the end. For our first programme, we're delighted to be joined by 21-year-old dancer Max Revell, a recent graduate of the Royal Northern College of Music, honestly, of the Northern School of Contemporary Dance in Leeds. He is already making waves on the UK dance scene. Growing up in Cornwall, Max began his training in Plymouth, where he took breakdance and popping classes with Street Factory from the age of 9. As a teenager, he travelled across the UK competing in dance battles and working with several theatre companies. In 2019, he won BBC Young Dancer competition, and after graduating in 2020, he joined the Northern School of Contemporary Dance's postgraduate company Verve. Already in his career, he's enjoyed working with the Hiccup Project, Frantic Assembly, Patricia Okonwa, Gary Clark, Suzanne Thomas, Barnaby Booth, Botis Seva, and Caroline Finn. We'll be taking questions at the end, so if there's anything you want to ask Max, please let us know in the comments. Welcome, Max. Hello. It's so lovely to meet you. So the first question has to be, what got you into dance?
Hey, yeah, thank you for having me. That was a nice spiel at the beginning. Appreciate that. But I'm 23 now. I'm not 21. Sorry, that
I'm
must be
so
an
sorry.
old. No, no, no. It's not your fault. It's my fault. That must be an old. Yeah, that was a while ago. What was the first question? Sorry, what did you say?
What got you into dance?
So I was homeschooled, um, and like my mum was very keen to like get us, me and my brother, and my sister, like into lots of different stuff. So she just let us try lots of things, like drama, music, like just loads and loads of different skills, often quite artistic stuff, but not exclusively. And she just took me along to a session in Saltash, which was delivered by Toby Gorniak from Street Factory. Um, yeah, and I just never seen, I don't know, I saw a guy there called Josh Rumbled who was doing like kind of the robot. I'm sure he won't, probably not actually a very good robot. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that back then. But yeah, I just remember being like totally transfixed by him specifically, the way he was moving. Never really seen anyone move like that before. So yeah, I just wanted to come back, and then I came back the next week, came back the next week. Um, and I think then I was still kind of doing it for fun and really like just making my way in each session. I definitely wasn't like necessarily very good at it. I was just like really enjoying being there. And then after a few years of kind of doing it every week and then going to a Saturday session as well, like twice, 2 or 3 times a week, um, I did actually stop for a little bit. Not stop, but like I did it much less. And then when I got back into it after that, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to put everything into this. And yeah, here I am. I was very lucky to have a lot of people around me that like supported me a lot and like gave me the opportunity and asked me if I wanted to do it. Like, if this is what you want to do, you know, we can help you. You know, so I was really really lucky to have that around me.
It's so important to have that support network and people that
Mm-mm-mm.
push you in a way. So you mentioned that you were pushed into kind of like um, dancing and music and acting. So what are you still like into your acting and your singing, or are you just a complete dancer through and through?
I still my mum's a musician, so and she plays in a band, so I kind of music's always been around me. So I do a little bit of music. I'm not really very good. Um, just kind of do it for fun. And then I don't really do acting. I think, but I do think having done it definitely helps uh, in my dancing. Really, I think there's like there's like blurred lines between the two disciplines. They're like they cross over a lot. It's not like they're not separate entities. Um, well, something popped up. Yeah, they're not separate things. They're similar things to me anyway.
Yeah,
Um, and then I did a little bit of circus when I was younger as well, and I think all those things, when you're doing them as a kid, you kind of just see them as separate things. But then when you get a bit older, you realize that they're really really connected, and that one thing that you learn in one discipline is going to help you in another discipline. So I try and keep doing them a little bit if I can, not to put pressure on learning them or anything, but I think it's nice to have an outlet that's not dance, and to kind of improve in something that's not dance, that I know is actually secretly helping me, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, can you tell us a bit about your own style of dance? How would you describe it?
Oh, it's hard. I think so I do actually get this question quite. I think this is like probably the most common question I get. It's like, oh, like your style is uh, like how would you describe your how you move? But I don't know, because it's just like the way that I move. But I guess from what I've said, like I I was doing popping and breaking and kind of a lot of hip hop styles from really early on, really since I was about 9. So that's definitely the main influence. And then I started doing contemporary like 3 or 4 years ago. So obviously that's like fed in and made something. But then, like I was just saying, like having done circus and clowning and acting and drama and that kind of thing, that definitely is there somewhere. Like that information still exists,
Yeah,
I guess. Um, so I didn't really answer the question basically, but yeah, I think it's like an amalgamation of different things. Uh, I hope it is anyway. Yeah.
do you have any experience with other kinds of dance, for like, for example, ballet?
Yeah, so I haven't been doing ballet at contemporary school
Yeah.
um, for all the time I was there. So I was doing ballet like 3 or 4 times a week. And we did do ballet, like Toby, who's the artistic director of Street Factory, who I was with since I was 9. He got us to do ballet when we were about 15, 16
Mm.
for like a year, but none of us really, we kind of rejected it quite strongly because at the time, I don't think I really understood it. I didn't want to do it. I was very like, I wouldn't quite say I was anti ballet, but I was like, that's not for me. I'm not going to do that. It's just when I went to school and I was doing it every day, I kind of had to find some enjoyment in it because I was doing it basically every day. Um, yeah, ballet. Now I have an interesting relationship with ballet. Sometimes I really really enjoy it. Sometimes I find it a bit boring. But I think every single time I learn something, so I can't I can't knock it for that.
Can you talk us through a typical day at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance?
So so when you're on the undergraduate scheme, it's like it's fairly. I mean, it's full on regardless, but it's basically 9 to 5. So you come in and you have most likely you have 2 classes in the morning, so contemporary or ballet, or ballet then contemporary, and then lunch, and then the next part of the day is usually like creative classes. So it could be classes on improvisation or choreography. Very, very occasionally at the odd lecture, but that doesn't happen very often. Um, till 5 o'clock. So sometimes those improvisation classes will be like 3 hours long, for example, with a little break in between. Um, and then from 5 until 9 ish, or it depends. It's like your time to like rehearse on your own projects, or book a studio and explore your own practice, or whatever it is, or just go home and sleep. Some people did that. I did that sometimes. Um, so yeah, it's pretty full on. But I think it's so useful to be able to have the space. Like when I was there and I could book studios, it was just like, whoa, like I can't believe that I have this this amount of access to these studios like consistently for free all the time. Um, so I was in quite a lot, like 9 till 9 some days. Um,
Nice.
yeah.
I was the same when I came to RNCM, and it's nice that you have that space where you can just devote your thoughts, everything to well, dance, and to me it was my singing. Um, it's amazing. So how important would you say continuous your studies have been to your future aspirations?
Or like integral for sure,
Yeah.
definitely. I think like I don't know, I didn't really realize um, that I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to do it as a career, like since I was really young, but I didn't know like that kind of vocational training was. I didn't really know it existed. Like I kind of stumbled across it. Um, I basically I was gonna go and do media at college, so I did media at college. Actually, I went to Plymouth College of Art and I did like media studies.
Yeah.
And then I was on the train after a show that a woman called Laura, shout out to Laura, she's cool. Um, on She works for Exim. I think she still works for Exim now. Um, and she was on the train with me, and I just started talking to her, and she just said, "Oh, you need to go to vocational training. Like you can't, don't go to, please don't go to uni and do media or film. Please do dance at a vocational school." And I didn't even know like what a conservatoire was. I didn't like have any, so I had to like look it all up and understand it and like book auditions and stuff. And I was late to apply, so I had to apply the next year. But following her advice was like the best decision I made, like because it really gives you the time that you need to practically study something. It's not like I don't know. It's not like watching a piece of dance and writing about it for most of the time. Like most of the time, it's in the studio. You're working on your craft. You know, you're practicing. So that was definitely like the best decision I made was to train and like to train at the highest level I could.
Was it a 3 year course or a 4 year?
So it was 3 years, and then I did the master's course Verve, which is like an extra year. So I did 4 years, um, which again was such a good decision because obviously I chose to do Verve before COVID, so I didn't even COVID was some way in the distance that I hadn't thought about it yet, and
Yeah.
then COVID happened, and it was like not everything stops, like nothing's happening, uh, and obviously it's probably the same for the College of Music, like as a as an artist and as someone that needs to be in a space to practice something, suddenly you're like, wow, okay, like what do I do? You know. But with Verve, we were really lucky to have such a great artistic director that he managed somehow to get us space throughout the pandemic, throughout lockdown number 2 and number 3.
Oh wow.
So we still managed to like rehearse and tour a show throughout a pandemic, really, which is nuts. I have no idea how we managed to do that. Um, so yeah, I feel like I've been really lucky in that respect.
That sounds incredible. I'm actually so jealous you've had the opportunity to perform.
No, I bet.
Can you tell us a bit more about Verve? What it is, what like kind of what you perform, just
So
everything.
Verve is like a postgraduate company. So it's like a company dedicated to people that are kind of like graduating or have graduated within the last couple of years. Um, and basically, I feel like it's changing a little bit now. But when I did it, it was 4 choreographers come in and they each make a work. And then we have a show and we tour it around the UK. And if it wasn't for COVID, probably a little bit of Europe as well. Um, yeah, and it's designed to kind of give you the perfect learning environment for being a company dancer, really, because you're working as a company, um, and then you tour a show at the end, and you kind of work with lots of different choreographers, so you get some different ideas of different work, you know, which is what you will do in an actual company, real company life. Um, yeah, and I can't give it enough praise. Really, it really helped me, especially considering the pandemic we've all been going through. You know, I think it was really like instrumental, um, and it's given me a chance to grow. You know, I can't be thankful enough, really.
Yeah. And talking about performances, can you tell us about do you have a daily routine before you have a performance? Does this change on performance days? What's it like?
Do you know what? I I don't know if I do anything different. Like, I mean, obviously, it feels kind of weird when you, especially if it's like a big one, something
Mm,
really big, and you like wake up, like you wake up, and that's the first thing you think about, right? Like, or the night before, it's the first thing you think about before you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, today's the day that we're gonna premiere or whatever it is. Um, I think I try and be like keep everything normal because I
mm-hmm.
think if I have like a special routine, then like I don't know, I'm only like gonna make myself more put myself under more pressure.
Yeah.
Really, like one of my favorite footballers called Pirlo is an Italian footballer, and he said basically that before they won the World Cup. I'm sorry if everyone hates football. I'm going to talk about football for a second. But before he won the World Cup, he him and his mates were just playing FIFA beforehand and just like joking around, and then they just went out that night and then they won the World Cup. But it was like no normal. It was like a normal day for him. You know, it wasn't like anything different. I'm not trying to compare myself to a footballer, but I'm just trying to say that like I don't know. I try not to put any unnecessary pressure on it and just treat it like a normal day because otherwise, yeah, I feel like I can get myself too nervous and just like when you're in that position of being too nervous, like too much adrenaline, you can make mistakes or you can like rush through things. Whereas if you just go, okay, I know what I'm doing, you know, I've run through it so many times, thousands of times. This is just like now in front of people, so people are now going to see it, but that doesn't change anything. You know, it's just the same thing. It's never going to be perfect. I have to like improve on it every time. So every run through is a chance to do it better. And if there's audience in front of you, it's the same thing. You know, it's not any different.
Yeah.
Does that kind of answer the question?
No, it does. It really does. Thank you. Can you tell us, you mentioned a bit about keeping your nerves under control. Can you tell us how do you do that? What are your top tips for young aspiring dancers?
To keep nerves, I think nerves is such a tricky one, you know, because like annoyingly, like it's like the best part, I think,
Yeah.
because if you didn't get nervous, then you don't care about it. So I
Mm,
think when you don't get nervous, then there's actually a problem. If you're not getting nervous, in my personal opinion, I think some people would disagree. Probably,
yeah.
maybe some people don't get nervous if they're really super experienced. But I've kind of learnt to in, to sit with the feeling and enjoy it instead of panic. I think that's a big part of it. Um, I think there's certain things. Just breathing for one is like the thing that we always forget to do when we're very nervous. Just like breathe. Remember that you're there. You know, in the moment. Like don't like because you can start if you start thinking about things that are going wrong, then that's going to make you nervous. But if you just be in each moment as it goes, don't worry about the things coming next or what's just happened. um but honestly, and this is such an annoying piece of advice, but I genuinely think it's like enjoy it, really enjoy it, because that's like the best part is the nerves, because without the nerves it becomes I don't know, it becomes less important to me.
Mm,
um Especially after making a mistake. I think when you've been on stage and you make a mistake, you know that feeling. It's like it's so long. It lasts such a long time. It feels like hours when you make a mistake. But that's the time where you need to go. Okay, snap back into it. Don't let that affect me. That happened. Now I need to like keep going. You know, be wrong and strong, kind of thing. Um, yeah, I think it's something that if you're a performer, you're always gonna have it. Like it's always gonna be there. So get used to it. You know, like get learn to really enjoy it, like because that's what's make it's what makes it special. I really think that.
definitely. I'm going to move on now and ask a bit about the BBC Young Dancer competition.
Mm.
Um, it feels a bit late to say congratulations now, but congratulations on your win. But can you tell us a bit about what made you apply for BBC Young Dancer?
Yeah, so I actually did it. Well, I didn't do it. I was asked to do it, to be someone's duet partner, like 2 years before I did it. So with my friend Tom, who actually I did the duet with 2 years later. He did, yeah, he did it, and he was like, "Look, I need a partner for the duet. Can you, yeah, can you do it?" And I've always avoided talent shows like the plague, to be honest, because I've heard awful stories about the way they treat dancers or treat their talent, and it's all about entertainment. It's never about like the art form. So I've always like steered clear of it when I've been asked to apply or asked to send a tape or anything. Um, but when I did the duet, I was like, oh, this does seem like a nice thing to do. I don't know. It feels like they're looked after really well. They're really well respected. Um, and it also feels like a good learning experience. Like the people that they work with seem like they've got their head screwed on. So it just made me want. I thought I remember when I finished doing it with Tom that year. I was like, I think I'm going to apply when it comes around. And when it came around, I was 21, and that was my last chance to do it. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. There's no way I'm not going to do it. Um, yeah, so I just decided to really like. Like I said, it was like a long time ago. Before I was like, I know I'm going to do it. Uh, yeah.
And can you tell us, like, is it like an audition? There's different rounds, and like, how does it progress to so you get to the final?
So when I think again they've changed the like system. I think it's
Yeah.
probably still similar though. So you sent in 2 videos when I did it. So I sent in 2 videos. What I think is really great about it is like if you was to send in your I don't know, your act to Britain's Got Talent or X Factor or one of these other shows, you either get a yes or a no, or sometimes they won't even give you a no; they'll just give you a no reply, and like that's what you get. Whereas with the BBC thing, and I'm pretty sure this is the same for the young musician that they also do. I'm pretty sure it's the same. I can't speak for it, but I'm pretty sure. Is you get feedback like at every single stage of the process. So even if you send in your video and they don't want you to come and perform, they still give you feedback on your video, which is really cool, I think. So I sent in 2 videos, and then they invite you to like a second round, which is like in Stratford. I think mine was in Stratford, or was in Sadler's Wells, like the Lillian Theatre at Sadler's Wells. And then after that is like the televised rounds,
Hmm.
which was at the Lowry in Manchester.
Yeah.
And then after that is like the big final with all the different styles. I think they're doing it slightly differently this year, where like they're not having categories. It's just like any style of dance, which is kind of cool. But I imagine it will be a similar format.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds amazing. Um, so going back to you as a dancer, what would your advice be for young aspiring musicians?
I think with any art form, I mean, I don't know exactly how it works in the world of music. My brother's doing
I
the
could
whole.
say musicians,
You
sorry.
did, yeah, you did. Do you
I
mean
didn't mean
dancers?
to. Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm
It's all
so
right.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I was about to give you some crazy, crazy answer. Um, for dancers, I think, yeah, genuinely, it's basically the same advice. I think just work on your craft. I really think with any art form, I think that's the case. I think it's just like it's a practice thing. It's 10,000 hours or less or more. Sorry, it's like dedicate yourself to it. If you really want to do it, then just dedicate yourself to it. It's really that simple on the uh, on the on the front of it. It's like the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. It's really that simple. I'd say, especially in this day and age, maybe like not steer clear of social media, but be like aware that social media is not like the goal. of what you're doing. Unless it is, if it is, then that's fine. But like, I think I see a lot of like dancers these days getting caught up in like being seen and getting like attention rather than like being good. And like, in my personal opinion, if you're good enough, like you're gonna get seen. It doesn't matter. Like you're if you're really good enough, then like people are gonna notice, you know. And like I just think it's a shame when I see people kind of uh like upset themselves about not being seen when like it's just going to take you a few more years and you're going to be easily good enough, you know. Like you don't need to worry about that side of yourself, you know. um so I'd say, yeah, I'd say just work on the craft, like just grind in silence. Don't worry about social media, don't worry about followers, don't worry about that kind of thing. Just like just grind it out and be good, because it's definitely better to be good than be seen, because by being good you're going to be seen. um and be like maybe patient as well. Like I think it takes a lot longer than you think it's going to take. Like, because I decided when I was around 13 or maybe 12 that this is what I wanted to do, like as a career. And I kind of just assumed that by the time I was 18 I'd be like this famous Jordan Thompson guy that, like, I don't know, was living in Barbados or something like that. But like it really takes a long time, and like uh things of value take a long time. And like uh, I would say that's the one thing that you should always remember, is that it's going to take a long time and it's going to be hard work. But when you get there, it's so worth it. It's really worth it.
Yeah, that's such good advice that I don't think we really hear often enough. Um, is that you just need to bide your time and it it's gonna come like by the work you put in. So
Yeah, literally. I think there's a lot of focus on like overnight success in
yeah,
this kind of generation. In my generation, I think definitely it's like this kind of, there's an obsession with like, oh, if you've not broke America overnight, then you're not a success. And I think that's just total rubbish. Like it's really, if I mean if that's what you judge success of anyway. Like, you know, we can argue about what success is all night, but like I really think that uh we should take our time. You know, we should really like, we should preserve the art rather than trying to be TikTok famous or whatever.
yeah, definitely. Um, so do you choreograph your own pieces, or are there particular choreographers you like to work with? Is it a bit of both? Can you tell me a bit about?
It's a bit of both most of the time. So I've just done Verve, which obviously is working with four different
Yeah,
choreographers. Um, and I like doing both. I really enjoy like learning stuff as well. So for example, one of the pieces that we did with Verve was already made. Like it wasn't like it had been made on a previous company. So it wasn't like we didn't make any of the material. It was all already existent, and we had to learn it from other people, you know.
yeah,
But I really liked that experience. That was also enjoyable because I think that's when I'm out of my comfort zone the most, is when I have to learn something that somebody else has made, because it just takes me more time basically. Um, but then I really enjoy like making my own work as well. I think that's probably what I most enjoy, is making my own stuff, because then I can just make all the decisions, and I really enjoy that. Um, so yeah, it's always a mixture. But like even if I do make my own stuff, I always ask for help from people. Like I would never make something completely by myself. Like everyone, even if it's like my mum or my sister or anyone, like literally I will always ask someone to watch it and give me their advice, and then like discuss it and maybe change. Like, yeah, it's never just my own stuff. It's always with somebody's input, somebody's help, you know.
yeah. So when you're learning, like someone else's work, like you said you were with Verve, do you find that you can kind of put your own stamp on it and say, this is the way Max Revell does it? Or is it like you are a unit, you are doing it, like, sorry if I'm not phrasing this right, but like as the company, you're all doing it
Yeah,
together?
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I think a li- again a little bit of both. I think it's like you have to like embody the movement in your, like you said, in your way of doing it. Like it has to be the way you do it. Otherwise, it's gonna look weird. It's gonna look strange because everyone's bodies is like different, right? Like all physiology, like everything. Everyone has a slightly different way of moving, so it has to be a bit different. But then at the same time, like it has to be, especially with Botus's piece, which was the piece that we did that was already made. It was about like uniform and basically, if you see the piece, like it has to be all the same, like because it's so precise and clean. So you kind of have to like you have to learn it and then find your way of doing it, but that means that you're not doing something completely different to everyone else. Like it still has to be the same. It just has to be like you have to embody it basically.
Mm,
Embodiment is a really good word.
yeah. So, can you tell us a bit about the most challenging dance routine that you've had to perform so far? That's quite a tough question, actually.
Yeah, it's hard. To be honest, um, sorry. I think I've got two that's really difficult.
Mm,
And number one is the last solo that I did for the BBC thing, which was choreographed by Dixon. That was really hard. Like that was hard to do. I think that was really hard to do because every single time he just kept asking for more, like for more kind of input, like not just physically but like emotionally as well. It's really really hard to do every single time. Like every run, I was just exhausted.
mm,
Um, and then also in the Verve show, the last piece that we did for that was so difficult. Like just so many things could go wrong. Basically, like it was a miracle if I managed to make through with not making one mistake. Um, probably those two. I'm trying to think if there's anything, but I'm gonna say those two. Otherwise, it's like
yeah.
I could be here for ages.
um, and what would you say the highlights of your career are so far?
Um, it's hard. Because weirdly, I'm gonna sound really boring when I say this, but I genuinely just really enjoy um like just practicing, like just kind of working stuff out and not um when there's not like some big show, like when it's just I'm just on my own and just practicing. I really enjoy that. I know that sounds so boring, but that is genuinely the truth. Um, and then obviously, I mean, I could say the BBC thing. I could say the last show we did for Verve was like really special. I went to Germany a couple of years ago and won a competition out there, and that was really like that was also really nice. But then I could say like stuff like it's stuff as simple as like uh, a dancer I watched in 2009 in Britain Convention. So that was like really when that's the first year I started dancing, and I saw a dancer called Salah, like a French dancer, and that's really what made me want to learn popping when I saw him dance on stage. And then like 6 months or so ago, like he messaged me on Instagram and was like, "Oh, I really like your stuff, etc." Sometimes stuff like that is like that you can't really put a price on that. That's like, oh wow, like that's the person that I've inspired me to start, and now they're like recognizing me in their own. Yeah, that was crazy. So I
Yeah,
think I listed like 4 or 5 things there. So one
yeah.
of any one of those is fine.
You can never pick just one, can you? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
asking what your favorite food is.
yeah, literally.
Um, so that led quite nicely into it. So if people who are watching don't really know much about contemporary dance, but would like to get into it, where would you recommend going as a starting point? Who are your own inspirations?
Um, well, Salah, the guy I just mentioned,
Yeah.
definitely. I think I mean he's not really contemporary. He's definitely a popper really. But he's just special to watch. He's an entertainer. I think they call him Salah the entertainer. It's like amazing to watch. So that's number one, definitely. I'd say I've been really obsessed with a guy called James Thierry recently. He's like a French performer, but also a dancer, and who's just amazing to watch. And I think very, um, it's just very amusing to watch him dance. Like I just laugh every time I watch him, even if I've seen how many times I've seen it thousands of times. Um, I should probably give three. Well, I watched in terms of contemporary. I watched Hofesh 2 perform in Manchester, perform clowns in Manchester, and that was incredible. That was like so good. I don't often go away from the theater feeling like that, like in that just amazed by everything, the way the whole show was done. It was incredible. So those three, Salah, James Thierry, and Hofesh, amazing.
Find clips of them on YouTube and on the internet.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so we're on our last two questions of the pre-written ones. So if anybody does have any questions, please we pop them in the comments and we'll feed them through to Max. But I have two more. So as performers, we all know that practice and rehearsals can take over. What do you do outside of dance?
Nothing. No, I do some stuff. Uh, yeah, I really like going to the beach. At the moment, I've been going to the beach every single day. I've been staying in Cornwall for like a week or so now, and I've been going to the beach every day. Um, so I do that sometimes. I like playing football, just generally hanging out. Uh, that sounds so boring. I'm sorry. Um, yeah. Also, like I said, I'm playing music, like uh, or drawing or something like something I like. I really like being artistic, but sometimes, uh, especially if it's your career, like does get a bit exhausting to do it all the time. You know, because you do it every single day, and sometimes you do it for more of the day than you don't do it. You know, so it's good to find a way to like unwind. But yeah, I much prefer it when it's sunny. Really, if it's not sunny, I really struggle to entertain myself if it's not dancing. So I usually end up dancing. Um, if it's sunny, I can go out to the park and play football with my friends or something like that. But if it's not sunny, it's usually practice.
Oh, that's fair enough. I think we're all a bit like that, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a disease almost. Really,
Is. um, and the final question from me would be: have you got anything exciting in the pipeline for this year or the next year?
yeah. So I had to like send an email to make sure I was allowed to tell this one because I saw this question on the thing. I was like, oh, I better make sure I can actually say it. So I'm going to be in the Jungle Book reimagined by Akram Khan in I think it premieres next year in April. Hope I've got that date right. Um, yeah, so that's exciting. I'm supposed to be rehearsing with them on the 2nd of August. Um, so yeah, that starts pretty soon actually. So
That's incredible.
yeah, it should be good.
Is it a live show?
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like a live show, and uh, yeah, we premiere in uh, we premiere. I'm sure we premiere in April. I'm gonna say April, and then just yeah,
that sounds incredible. Wow. Um, I can get my chat box up.
yeah. They've been
Um,
coming in lots.
I have, yeah. So the first one is I'm a dancer at school and want to specialize in contemporary dance. Who would you recommend I watch so I can develop my skills? You've kind of already touched on that.
I have said, but there's some great. There's a a guy. He's not actually a dancer. He's more of like a, I don't even know what you would call him, like a movement practitioner of some kind. I don't know. He's called Ido Portal. Uh, and he does some great, like, kind of not quite instructional. I wouldn't say they're tutorials quite, but they're like uh, they're very instructional. Or yeah, I think you can get a lot out of just watching them. And he's got a YouTube channel and he's got loads of stuff, like oceans of stuff to watch. Um, Also, if you're more into the kind of popping side of things, there's a guy called Tabo, Tabo, uh, and he's got hundreds of like tutorials on basically doing this, um, that you can sit and watch and geek out about, because that's basically all I do at the moment. So yeah, those two, they're really really good resources. I think, and they're literally like, Ido Porta was like pretty well, but Tabo, like, he has like 100 subscribers or something like that. Like no one watches these videos, and it's, the information is crazy, like really crazy.
Yeah, thank you. Um, so I'm hoping to go to dance school next year. I want to be a choreographer. Do you have opportunities at dance school to learn how to choreograph, or would I need to do that in my own time?
A bit of both, a bit of both. But if you go to, I can only speak from Northern because I went there. But
Yeah,
in Northern, there's loads of opportunities to choreograph. Like there's a, every month there's a student platform. So basically, this is more something you do off in your own time. But like you can choreograph something and then just show it at the student platform, get feedback or not get feedback, just show something. But then also there's classes that we have on choreography, literally on how to make choreography, like different ways, different people's practices. And then as you go into second and third year, lots of guests come in and they share their way of working, their practice, and how they made this, and etc. Um, so I don't want to be like poster boy for the school, but it's, Northern's a really good place if you want to start choreographing your own stuff, in my opinion. I'm sure the other schools are really great as well. Um, I just went to Northern, so I can tell you uh, about the services they offer. But yes, basically, um, there's loads of time to make your own stuff. Um, you do have to work a little bit in your own time, like after school and stuff. But then there's also classes where you can do these things.
no. Um, do you have an agent? How would I go about finding an agent?
This is like, I'm the worst person to ask about this. I don't personally. I don't have an agent. Um, I haven't needed one yet. Um, I think from what I know about agents, I think it's just as simple as sending off a CV, showreel, and portfolio, and just see, just sending it to their Instagram even, or finding their email address is probably the best way, and emailing them. Um, I know people that have agents, and it was kind of the agent approached them, or they just, an agent put a call out for a male age 15 to 25 or whatever, and someone applied, and then now the agent gets them lots of work. So I think it kind of depends. Again, I'm not the best person to ask, but I think if you just send an email, um, to any of the agents like Box Management, or I literally know one agency. That's how rubbish I am, agents. But yeah, I think it's just a case of just of emailing and applying. Really, I think it kind of depends. I think for dance, well, yeah, from my perspective, I haven't ever needed an agent, so I can't speak on it too much. But I do know people that get lots of work from agents, and they do really well. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you been, 'cause you don't have an agent, so would do you find, how would you find work th on your own?
Essentially, well, I guess I don't know. I just, usually people message me on Instagram. Genuinely, like I just, that's how I find out about stuff, or they get hold of my email through sometimes the school or another contact that I know. So I guess I kind of am my own agent in that way. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think I also know other people that don't have agents. So I don't think it's, especially in dance, I don't think it's like as necessarily as common for you to always have an agent. I think if you're an actor, like you need an agent basically, and you can't get work without an agent. Maybe it's the same for musicians. I don't know. Um, but yeah, as of yet, I've never needed one. And from I got some. I was going to apply for an agency. This is a good story to tell. I was going to apply for an agency, and then someone told me maybe wait until you apply for an agency until you know you're going to be free for a long time, because I think it doesn't. If you apply for an agency and then they book you some work and you say you can't do it, you're obviously not going to be like at the top of that list in the agent's phone book, because they're like, well, the last time I gave him some work, he said he couldn't do it. So actually got told to maybe hold off until I know I'm going to be free for a bit and then apply. And then that kind of made sense to me. And also it meant I didn't have to apply. So I was like, yes, I don't need to do anything.
Yeah, Brill, thank you. It's useful to see it kind of from having an agent and not having an agent, see that either way can be
Yeah, yeah.
have
Well, who
that.
knows? Maybe in a year's time, I'll be saying something completely different. I'll be like, definitely get an agent. Like, you definitely need one.
Um, do you need to have gone to the Northern School of Contemporary Dance to apply for Verve?
No, no, you don't. Not at all. You can. I don't even know if you. Maybe you need a BA, so maybe you need to have done uni in some respect, but you definitely don't need to go gone to Northern. Like in my company, there was people from the place, people from Rambert, there was a person from Laban. So yeah, absolutely not. You don't need to go to Northern specifically to do that.
Well, thank you. Um, you said something earlier that made me think you have to be quite resilient to be a dancer. How do you cope with knockbacks and bounce back?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it is.
Um, I think yeah, it's hard. I think it's like just one of those things, you know. You have to like just have to keep going, you know, get back up and keep going. But it is really hard. So for example, when I applied for conservatoires, I was so set on going to London. I really wanted to go to London Contemporary Dance School because I wanted to be in London and train with a lot of the break dancers and poppers that were there. So I was like, let me go to London. Please let me go to London. Uh, and I had three auditions. So I had London School, and then Northern. And I didn't get through either of the London schools. They just cut me. And I was really upset because I didn't really want to go to Northern. I was like, I don't want to go. Like Northern is just like my backup choice. I don't want to go there. Um, and yeah, that was not nice. Like obviously, you're gonna, doesn't feel amazing when you don't get what you want. I think especially like performers always want exactly what we want in like perfectionists, you know. Um, but then it turned out that actually it's probably the better decision to go to Northern. Like I was really happy I went to Northern. So maybe a good way. It sounds so corny and annoying, but like maybe a good way is like it's always a learning experience. Maybe things happen for like a reason, a good reason, even if at the time you're really frustrated, doesn't make sense. But some things happen for a reason like that. Um, like I used to get so annoyed when I used to lose competitions, like battles and stuff. I used to get so angry, like not angry at anyone, but just angry at myself all the time. I used to be so like miserable for a couple of days after I would lose, and then I would just train ridiculous, like religiously. Afterwards, I wouldn't speak to people. I'd be like, no, like I lost. I need to like sort my stuff out. Blah, blah. But then after a while, you realize that like losing is like part of it. It's like important. You have to learn how to lose. Um, so yeah, I think there's not really a way, like one blanket way to cope with it. Because life is like that. It would just chuck some random things at you, and all of a sudden you're in a difficult position. But I think you just have to deal with every day as it comes, and enjoy the dance as much as you can, or whatever practice it is. It doesn't have to be dance.
Definitely. So, talking about auditions, there's actually a question that says, "Do you have any advice for audition preparation for competitions and or college? How do you select dancers to prepare?"
I think get a lot of sleep. Definitely, I think we like underrate sleep as like so it's such an important so really big like part of it. I think we kind of underrate it. I've always been one of those people that's like, oh, I need like 5 6 hours, I'm fine. But actually, if you can get a good amount of sleep, like you'd be surprised how good you feel. Um, but yeah, I just think in terms of auditions, just like similar to what I said about performances, I really try and not like think about the consequences of anything. Like, this is my one chance to prove. Da, 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 da. Like, that's the one thing I think I can make sure that I'm gonna get in my head if I start thinking like that. So just treat it like, I mean, audition specifically, just a class. So that's all it is. Just do a class and just do your best in the class. Don't worry about going wrong. Definitely not, because you have to go wrong in a class. That's like important. It's part of being in a class. So just do a class as you would do any other class. Work hard, try and get it, and then I think you'd actually be surprised how many audition panels are not looking for if you're making mistakes or not. It's how you adapt to a mistake that you do make. So if you make a mistake and then you make the same mistake about 6 or 7 times, maybe they'll write something down. Made the same mistake 6 or 7 times. If you make a mistake once and you fall on your face, that's happened to me in an audition, by the way. I've literally fallen on my face. Um, they're probably not going to write that. They really don't care because it's about the way you adapt to those mistakes. Um, so I really think, yeah, don't. What did I say? Get lots of sleep. Don't be worried about making mistakes, and just treat it like any day. Like work hard and uh and don't go there and be lazy or anything. Mess around, but you're there to like to have fun and show off. Don't shy away from that. Definitely not. Um, and the last thing I'd say that sometimes I think I see like when taking auditions with other people is like don't have any animosity towards anyone else that's there. Like I don't see it very often, but when you do see it, when you see someone kind of be rude to somebody, or I don't know, they're just getting the competitiveness is too much for them. That's when you definitely see them, they get cut straight away, because if you're on auditioning for something for a project, you want to find people that are going to work well together. So you're not just looking for like skill, talent, and adaptability or whatever. You're also looking for, is this somebody that is going to work well in a company for a year or 6 months or a month or 3 years if it's a college or course or something? Is this someone that is going to like be nice to people and is a nice person, or is this someone is just super competitive and can't handle this? So be nice to everyone. um and the last thing, I know, sorry, this is such a good question, so I'm gonna
Oh,
5 things. um don't like don't worry if you're not like, I literally did a contemporary audition for contemporary school, and I got every single exercise completely wrong. Like every single ballet exercise wrong, every single center exercise wrong, every single jump wrong. Like every literally, I didn't get one exercise right because I didn't do that. Like I knew that I wasn't a ballet dancer, I wasn't a contemporary dancer yet. But like, if you go to an audition, these people are literally they're sat there to look at talent and to see whether someone, not especially if it's for like a university course or a college course or a conservatoire course, they're not there to find a finished product. They're a finished product. They're there to like find something that they think they can grow into something, right? Like it's not about like, can you do like amazing spins? Like, are you already a good dancer? It's like, after 3 years, where will you be? So it's not always about your how good you are, but it's sometimes they're looking at how good you might be able to be. So don't worry about like, oh, am I good enough to do it? Because I remember I went to this audition and I saw people with their legs up here and they were doing splits and they was doing all these jumps, and I was like, what is this? But just because I'm not that doesn't mean I can't be that eventually. Like, they're looking at what you can be, you know.
yeah.
Sorry, that was like such a long answer. It's terrible.
No, that last piece of advice is I received that in my first year of RNCM and it's the best advice. I've ever received, because it it doesn't take away the nerves, but it centers the nerves into something you can use rather than walking in and being like, well, she can sing
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
key, and I'm like, whoop. um, so do you have any tips on finding your own style as a dancer?
Um, I think what has worked for me. I mean, I still wouldn't say I have like my own style or anything like that, but I think usually interesting movement comes from like different places. So it's not like different disciplines. So the more you study, that's not what you do. Like the more time you spend out of your comfort zone, that's gonna make something interesting. So because I spent a lot of time doing ballet and not it very much wasn't in my comfort zone, suddenly like found myself doing things that I'd never done before because it was like I had all these weird patterns in my body or I don't know what it was, you know. But I think crossing disciplines definitely helps with finding your own style or whatever. I think that's like a big part of it. Um, and also just like I don't know, like watching stuff like just like characters on TV or like animation or like I don't know, like the things that aren't necessarily dance can also inspire dance, just as things that are not necessarily uh, music can inspire music. Like it's not like things kind of cross a bit more than that. Like I don't know, like I could I'm not talking about me specifically, but one could watch like I don't know the way an old lady moves on the street and be like, oh, well, that's super interesting. I'm gonna make that into like I don't know. That's just like one example, but like sometimes like or the way an animal moves, for example, can be really interesting. So it's like, oh, how does that translate on my body? But what does it look like if I try and move like my cat or my dog or insert animal, etc. Does that make
So
sense?
interesting. Yeah, it does. That's really interesting. And our final question for today, can I put you on the spot? In your opinion, who is the greatest dancer of all time, other than you, of
Oh, myself,
course?
the greatest dancer of all time. Um, Probably someone like super old, like Fred Astaire or um like James Brown. Even like if you see some of the stuff that James Brown was doing, it's just like where did that like where did that come from? Like who, how did someone like figure out that they could do that? You know, um, I mentioned some people that I already really like
Yeah.
to watch, but I think who's my favorite, like the best ever. Um, Sorry,
No, no. It's
I
such a
think
hard question.
for me personally, from like my best ever dancer is a dancer called Mr. Wiggles from it's from America,
Yeah,
and it's just for me it's just a bit like I've never seen anyone be able to move in this way before,
yeah.
like so ahead of his time because he was doing it years and years and years ago. He helped develop a lot of things, you know. Yeah, so that's my answer, Mr. Wiggles, definitely.
Well, thank you. Fiona, who's head of learning and participation, has put love Mr. Wiggles.
Well, you should know. You should get to know. If you don't know, you should get to know.
Thank you so much for joining us, Max. It's been
Thank
so lovely
you.
to meet you.
I'm sorry we had to reschedule it and all of it, but at least we actually managed to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to speak to our young performers
No,
and
that's
answer.
fine.
It's been really inspirational. For me, I can't dance to save my life, but I feel like I could go out and give it a go now.
No, everyone could dance. Everyone, literally everyone can dance.
We wish you the very best of luck. So please come back and speak to us in the future, and hopefully dance for us if we're allowed in the
COVID
building.
allowing, yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, but thank you very much for having me, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you have a lovely summer break. And In the Hot Seat will return with more exciting interviews in the autumn term. Let us know via social media if there is anyone you would like us to contact. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at In the Hot Seat. Bye for now.
Do I leave now? Is that what I need to do?
No.